Welcome in, everybody. We're back with another episode of the Ascended Podcast. I'm all by myself today. Anthony is getting stuff done for the operation. He's really working on our academy program, being our offering to people. Sorry, I had my stream repeating there for a second. But I'd like to welcome anybody, from any platform. We're trying to grow this movement as a whole. Just to brag a little bit about the movement so far, Altura has gained 67 content clippers in the last 7 days. So almost 70 people have joined to make short form content, and you guys get paid to repost all of that on our social media. And we pay you for the views, so it's a fair system. All you got to do is make a clip from the downloading of this recording afterwards. It'll be uploaded inside of our WAP community. If you guys want to find that, you can just go to our website here, and in the live chat, you'll see a content clipping community hub. You can just go to the content clipping chat, and it'll take you right to the sign-up page. But thank you to everyone that's helping this movement grow, that's buying the cryptocurrency, that's actually using the AI, that's escaping the trouble that we're facing. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. Let me ask you something. This is going to be the start. When you open ChatGPT, when you open Grok, when you open Claude, Gemini, whatever it is, when you type your thoughts, your fears, your passions, your business ideas, your personal struggles, your relationship issues into that text box, that little box, or maybe you're using a voice chat, do you actually know who's reading it on the other side? I'm not talking about AI. I'm not talking about whatever model you're using. I'm talking about the people behind it. Do you trust them? It's not just Sam Altman or Elon Musk. It's all of the investors. It's the data scientists. It's the billions of dollars getting fed in by corporations that you don't see the meetings. It's the government contracts that you never agreed to. Because here's what I figured out. And once you see it, you can't really unsee it. Every major AI company out there, and obviously I've had to do plenty of research as we develop Nova, our AI, they've started with a mission of helping humanity, of bringing change into the world. I actually do believe that. I believe every single team out there wanted to see if we could hit the limits of what technology was really capable of. We've been talking about AI since the 80s, and making it a reality has always been a dream of many engineers. And they achieved it, at least in some form so far. I just think that they lost their way. They were bought one by one. And as you're seeing now, Elon Musk was just sitting down with a certain leader to discuss data on his AI system. One of the largest, AIs in the world right now is Grok. Your thoughts. And with Grok, right, that means your Twitter posts that you guys aren't even tracking could be fed into an algorithm now. I mean, it's posted through a different algorithm, but AI could be learning, profiling you, and establishing your biases, your flaws, your interests to sell on you. You become the product. And why do you think it's so free to use right now, or so cheap to get started, when the AI powering it is very expensive and very resource demanding? Today, I'm going to show you exactly what happened. I'm going to name names, because me just criticizing AI teams and platforms isn't going to do it, because we have one of our own, but that's not the point. I'm going to actually show you the receipts. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. And then I'm going to also tell you what we're building instead. So buckle up. I'm not asking you to trust me with this. I'm asking you to think. Welcome to the Ascended Podcast. My name is Caleb Schilke, and let's begin. Remember 2022? It was a good year, right? It was a decent year. I mean, we're still kind of coming out of COVID a little bit, but it wasn't as bad as 21 or 20, really. ChatGPT dropped, during that time. When we were just getting back into the new world swing, and the world changed again. Free AI for everybody. Finally, you can get answers to your most complex questions in seconds. They weren't great, right? I remember trying to use it for math problems in college, and it kind of sucked for that. It wasn't giving me consistent answers. Couldn't cheat, like kids nowadays in high school. We're democratizing intelligence. We're bringing control to the people. They're beautiful words. Well, what they didn't tell you is that freedom has a price. You just weren't paying in dollars like you're used to. So to you, it seemed free, and the marketing worked. You're paying in something far more valuable. Every conversation that you have had with ChatGPT is not private. It's training data. You guys know this. You are told this when you sign up. But many of you fail to actually either listen the first time or understand what it means. You're not the customer. You are the product. You are being sold. Not your body, but your mind and your thoughts. And in my opinion, that's what even makes more of you than your body. The unpaid labor force driving their models is using you. I'm going to show you the receipts. OpenAI started as a nonprofit company. The mission was to make sure that AI benefits all of humanity, not just corporations. Beautiful, right? They didn't want to keep control at the higher levels. Then Microsoft came in, Bill Gates, right, his foundation, they wrote a check, $10 billion with a B, not million, $billion. That's the size of government deals with foreign countries. And suddenly that nonprofit became a capped profit company. We're not non-profit anymore. We're just going to fix our profit. What does capped profit mean, though? Like from a technical standpoint, it means investors essentially get returns up to around 100 times their initial investment. You put in $100, you get 10,000 back before anybody else sees a single dime of benefit. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, went from I don't want equity because this should benefit humanity to running a capped company worth $80 billion. Either he changed, his team changed, or the mission was always just a marketing strategy to appear good. I'm going to let you guys decide the truth. And it's not just OpenAI doing that. Google, right? Remember, don't be evil. They quietly remove that from the code of their conduct. Now they're racing to essentially put AI in everything that they use. Gemini, right? Not because it helps you, but because whoever controls the AI controls what you search and what you actually get on the back end. And search, right, is an $800 billion market, being able to search things online. Mark Zuckerberg announced that he's training AI on every single public post, every photo, every comment that you have made. And as of, I believe it was December 30th, right? It got moved to January 4th, so very recently. Meta's been collecting data on you without your, true, public, full aware knowledge. They did put out a policy, but it was very difficult. And I've tried it personally to opt my information out and to be able to remove the information Meta has collected from comments I left on posts, DMs I've sent to friends, posts that have my personal image in it. You had to go through this long process that had about 4 redirect links, and then you had to fill out an application and actually submit evidence, and I had to do this, of where exactly I thought that it was using my data. So it's kind of like the IRS, right? I had to guess where my information was being exploited for them to remove it. Otherwise, they weren't going to do it. And so at the end of the day, they didn't remove anything of mine. They played this long, twisted game to be able to take my data from me without my consent. I guess you could say it technically was, right? It was informed, but I'm going to let you decide. In Europe, where they actually have privacy laws, I know California has big privacy laws as well too. Zuckerberg threatened to pull their AI features entirely rather than just stop harvesting data. He said, you guys don't get any AI if you're not going to let me use your information for God knows what purpose. If you're using Instagram right now, every story, every DM, every post that you've ever posted or will make is feeding Meta's AI. You didn't agree to this. They just did it. Even Anthropic, right, who made Claude. You've heard of Claude's AI, the safer AI, the more humanitarian AI. They took $4 billion from Amazon and Bezos. Amazon, right, the company that listens through Alexa, tracks your purchases, and knows more about your habits than your spouse most likely does. You guys see the pattern, right? I'm not going crazy here. I'm just stating facts. I'm not even accusing somebody directly. Every single one of them started with a beautiful mission. Every single one sold out to big tech for big money. Yeah, every single one that you guys are most likely using. There's not even a safe alternative now. It's just nothing. It is a single controlled monopoly, or I guess cartel, just like, cell phones used to be about 15 years ago, of just a few big holders. And I would argue after T-Mobile and Sprint merged, and I'm still a T-Mobile customer, I think they're kind of doing the same thing as well. But money's just the beginning of all of this. And I can only go so far just talking about the economic effects and the control. I want to talk about what these AIs that you're using, ChatGPT or Grok, are actually doing behind the scenes. And by developing our own AI that we're using and giving to our members inside the platform, I've learned a thing or two. Yeah, have you ever noticed, right, how ChatGPT has become very careful, I guess, with its responses? How it won't help you with basic things it used to handle without a problem? ChatGPT will refuse to write a persuasive essay from a perspective that it seems to disagree with. It won't help you research certain topics. It's not your assistant anymore, it's your babysitter subtly convincing you what right and wrong is. And the babysitter has an agenda. I promise you that. I've seen people get flagged. I've seen conversations get terminated, reported for asking completely legitimate questions about health. And a big one here, changing the game. Not because they were doing anything wrong, but because the AI decided it had a better response, or the person didn't deserve to know the truth. That's not artificial intelligence. It's basically a Black Mirror episode. It's artificial disobedience. You're paying $20 a month for the privilege, just like your parents, of being told what you can and can't think about or say and do. Congrats, guys. You're really changing your life for the better. Now, I want to connect some dots, and this part might get a little scary for me, to say these things. All of these AI companies have massive government contracts. OpenAI, Google, Meta, Amazon, they all work with defense departments, intelligence agencies, and law enforcement. Conversations with ChatGPT especially are stored. They're analyzed by a database and a AI model essentially on the inside, and they're used to train additional future models that, let's just say for every AI application out there, you probably have another one that's not exactly a friendly chatbot. Some of them are just profiling systems, surveillance companies, pattern recognition, behavioral prediction about what you're going to spend your money on, what your biggest fears are, how to target you if you ever became an enemy of the people that seek to help you. I'm not making any of this up, and I hope you guys know that. The public information is out there on all of this if you choose to look, but they don't advertise it because they know you're too lazy, for lack of a better word, to do the research. I'm too lazy. I used AI to help me with my research. I use our AI because I trust it. The question isn't whether or not your data is being used for things you didn't consent to. I would argue that at this point, it's kind of just a known fact. The question is, do you care to do something about it before it gets too bad and you are stuck in a box with blackmail basically built on all your deepest fears and regrets? And here's the biggest business reality that I think they don't want you to know about. OpenAI, ChatGPT's creator, is burning $5 billion a year. They're just throwing it out the door. They're not profitable. They might never ever be profitable. So what happens when the venture capital money runs out that they're using, and claiming as profit to get by? The same thing happened to every single tech company before them. The dot-com bubble, right? They squeeze. More ads, more data harvesting, worse user experience, finding every little loophole to try to sell your data off, and you become even more exploited. So that way they can keep themselves around, especially when it comes to push and shove. The big players are going to shove hard. That again brings terrible things for you: loss of privacy, higher prices, exploitation, and to be honest, fear and stress. I am stressed about this. I don't want my conversations leaked. I'm not talking about things that are like illegal or bad morally, but I think any of us doesn't want to have, the equivalent of somebody looking over your shoulder in a voting booth, right? And writing down what you're putting. It's just a freedom and a human right that we get being in this country. It's called enshiftification. Enshiftification. This term is and it turned into what I call enshittification. And I'm going to make that my big point. Enshittification is coined by Cory Doctorow, I believe. First, platforms kind of like this that we've been talking about are good to users that attract. I can't think of an example, nor do I really want to, put a bad mark out there on a certain business, but a platform exists to do good. Then they start realizing that money is also good for them. So they start abusing users to make more money for their business customers, the people that are investing in them that they promise returns to. Then they abuse business customers to claw back value for the people that are shareholders in the company. Then they die. Then somebody else comes around with a better business idea and more funding. We're watching it happen in real time, and nobody's building the alternative to this. When everything falls apart at once, when the money runs out, the checkbook's gone dry, and honestly, the water reservoirs are used up from all these shitty fucking AI videos, nobody's building an alternative. Well, almost nobody. I want to tell you why I started building Nova. Just some random guy that was tired of feeling exploited by parties, countries, groups, corporations that I felt didn't have my back. And it's not the reason you might think. I'm INTJ. And if you guys know Myers-Briggs, right? If you know how personalities work, you know what that means. I see systems. I see patterns. I'm probably the one of 10,000 people, top of 10,000 people that could do this. I see how things connect when other people see chaos. I've also been gifted with the 8W7 personality of the Myers-Briggs, which means I'm extroverted. I can sit on a podcast and not be the geeky guy in the corner, afraid to express his ideas. I'm here to paint light and truth to the situation. And for years, I've watched this AI industry and I saw exactly where it was heading. Not because I'm just some genius guy, right, that thinks he's better than everything, but because the patterns were pretty damn obvious, if you guys were actually paying attention and you stopped caring about the new Fortnite season, which honestly I still kind of do sometimes. I didn't start Altura because I wanted to necessarily compete with ChatGPT or OpenAI, right? I started it because I realized that nobody was building what AI was ever supposed to be, what the promises, were, what people believed in, and why they actually used it from the start. An intelligence that works for you, not for whoever the CEO like Elon or Sam Altman is meeting with behind closed doors, that subtly sneaks out into the news and controls your thoughts, and controls your relationships, and convinces you not to date that person that was good for you, or not to start that business that could have changed your life, that turns you into the product. It's not against you, something that's actually for you. I believe the tech industry has forgotten what technology was ever supposed to be, which is ironic, right? It's supposed to extend human capability. It's supposed to give people opportunity. And it's not supposed to harvest human behavior. It's supposed to serve you, not surveil you. So here's what we believe, me, Anthony, Alvin, our team, and what makes us so different. Your data belongs to you. Full stop. 100% clarity. We don't train our models on any of your conversations. In fact, we outsource a lot of the data processing and the storage, and we allow encryption between the messages getting sent to and from to protect somebody else from getting that. Just an anonymous party trying to hack in on the front level. We also don't sell your information. We don't meet behind closed doors because I don't need money from big investors that want to tell us what to do. I single-handedly own Altura, the actual legal structure of it, or at least my companies do, my holding structures and company. We have a currency that runs our ecosystem. So we actually set aside the alt currency on the Solana blockchain. And as you guys come in and use those tokens to, redeem some of the alt tokens toward a free month's membership and continue boosting our economy, we'll just use some of the community funds that are growing from the project to reinvest back into features and systems so we never have to make shady deals with the people that are exploiting you. Because again, I don't believe a lot of these AI companies started this way. I don't believe it was ever the initial intent to F you over. I just believe that they made partnerships with parties that didn't necessarily care whether or not your data stayed yours. And so I designed a system and an ecosystem that's based on crypto, right? That's owned by the people, and measures that are owned by you to protect the data that should have always been yours, unlike these other competitors. We don't have government contracts to share your patterns. At Altura, we built the privacy right into the architecture, not as a feature, as the main foundation. It's on our homepage, right? Because privacy bolted on its privacy, is just waiting to be removed. I'm gonna say that one more time because I think I messed that up. This is gonna be a cool line. Privacy bolted on is privacy waiting to be removed. When you just slap privacy on as a side benefit and not the core feature, even if it's less cool, users just think you don't give a shit. And so even though I could lead with, it can generate images or it can have a conversation with you, we actually have a conversational mode so you can tell Nova, our AI, what to do, schedule a meeting for you or to give you advice on something, and it can talk to you with one press of a button in the app. That'll soon come out on the App Store within a couple weeks. That, my friends, is true freedom and utility. We're leading with privacy. You control the AI. It doesn't persuade you. And the parameters that we've set are only limited to helping you based on information that you're giving it. We're not pre-programming it with agendas or political views that will mislead you, unlike the major players with billions of dollars funding these other tools. Nova doesn't decide what you can and can't ask. Nova doesn't lecture you. Nova doesn't refuse to help because some content policy team in San Francisco decided your question was problematic to a certain group of people or a certain system or a certain organization. AI should understand you. It should understand what you want and not just answer questions. It should actually tell you and help you who you are. That is the point of technology. That is the point of AI, to expand our understanding of the world, not to control us, not to surveil us. You get your patterns, you get your preferences. And I can already tell just testing these features before the app comes out here that it is working. I see what my limitations are. I see what my worries are. I see what my interests are. I see how open I am, how agreeable, the ocean, it's terminology from psychology. You can understand exactly where your traits lie and maybe what your Myers-Briggs personality is. If you guys learn from talking to it in the background that it's sensing you're more introverted and you always thought you were an extrovert like me, when you start to actually live the way you're supposed to live and be the person that you start to learn about and truly get to know by talking to Nova and not being fed bullshit answers about yourself, you're going to start realizing that you're happier. For me, guys, I always thought I was an ENTJ, right, as a personality. I thought I was extroverted instead of introverted. When I started actually giving myself time and realizing that freedom means being by myself and having time to think, and I slowly took off that social mask by understanding myself after talking to Nova, I started to feel better. Realizing that I was faking a lot of who I was, the social media posts, the validation, all the stuff, and started living through a lens of understanding the world first, everything else melted away. And so the best use, in my opinion, of Nova isn't just to answer questions, to schedule meetings in your Google Calendar, to send emails on your behalf. It's giving you from the chains that society has to mold you into the person it feels like you have to be. That only comes through a deep and true understanding that isn't being misled. And if you guys have any sense that you can't trust Grok or trust ChatGPT, I'm pleading you for free to try Nova while this tool is free and join our community instead. Your actual personality matters. And I think that is a big point of confidence for most of you. If you guys live the way you're supposed to live with the person you are and be happy knowing them instead of being fake, you can take off the mask you wear in public. We're building the AI that does what I said, that learns you're an introvert and stops suggesting you network more like ChatGPT giving blanket advice. It knows your process information visually and adjusts how it explains things, that understands your goals and your business, maps it out on a whiteboard, and actually helps you achieve them. Not just tells you what you want to hear. Let me tell you what Nova can do right now. Just no promises, no roadmaps, what's actually live. First, voice conversations. We just got that live. Real, natural voice conversations, which will soon be adding multiple different agents. Right now, it's just one voice agent. Not robotic text-to-speech, not bullshit, responses. Real, thought-processed, conversational AI that understands context, that looks at other conversations you've had, that looks at things you're worried about, looks at what you want to be, what kind of person you are, what's your personality type, and remembers what you said and talks to you with that stuff in mind. If you're a person that's short and direct instead of long and talkative, it's going to adjust its responses because it wants to help you. When ChatGPT gives you a chat box, Nova has full voice integration. You can talk to it, it talks back. It's the AI assistant that the movies have always promised us, just like Jarvis and Iron Man, not a text terminal that we're stuck with. Connected integration, Google Calendar, Gmail, Microsoft Calendar, Notion, Slack, whatever. Nova connects to the tools that you actually use to run a business or just to get by in the day-to-day. And here's the difference. When Nova connects to your calendar, it doesn't report data back to Google. It acts on your behalf with your permission and keeping your data yours. So if you tell it, move my meeting tomorrow at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., it's going to go in and actually move things on your calendar for you, not waste your time telling you what you need to change. Nova doesn't just answer questions, therefore, it does things. Blocking time on your calendar, drafting that email you've been procrastinating. And it all takes one click of the voice button to tell it to do that, and your day is figured out. No more pulling up the calendar, figuring out when your free time is, dragging boxes around, trying to remember what you're missing. It's all doing it for you. Creating tasks, not in some distant future, but now. And finally, Nova remembers your preferences across conversations. It learns how you work. It learns what matters to you, your communication style, and over time it becomes genuinely personalized. You get your own version of Nova, not in a creepy surveillance way. And this is an actually AI mechanism that understands me kind of way. Every feature that I just described, ChatGPT will eventually copy us. They always do, but they'll still do it while still harvesting your data, still censoring your conversations, still answering to Microsoft instead of you. The features aren't the point, the philosophy. So let me zoom out for a second because this is actually really much bigger than one product. We're at a pivot point in human history, just like when the internet itself was invented. AI is going to become the interface layer between humans and all digital information. Everything is going to be fed through an AI before you get an answer. Whoever controls that layer controls, well, everything. If you have the information, you can control what people think about the information. When you can control what people think about the information, you can control how they feel about the information. When you can control how they feel about the information, you can control how they act on that feeling. When you can control how people act, you control people. That is scary. And those are the dots that you might not be consciously, but you are definitely subconsciously connecting, which is why you feel a little uneasy listening to this. And I'm telling you, there's only one way out. It's to trust some guy like me that's young, that sees the future as being scary, and said, you know what, in my brilliant capacity to design systems that give power back to people, just like the founding fathers did, somebody's got to step up and do something about this bullshit. The major AI companies are all, without exception, tied to surveillance capitalism at best. Let's just say there's meetings happening that don't show up on anybody's calendar, partnerships that don't get press releases, data flows that conveniently never get audited. I'm being careful here because, my military restrictions and because I respect certain boundaries. But if you've been paying attention to what's being revealed in the last few years, let's say, the Twitter files, the Facebook whistleblowers, the Epstein files, right, the TikTok hearings, you know that the relationship between big tech and three-letter agencies is closer than advertised. Now imagine that level of coordination, right, with AI, with systems that understand language, systems that understand context, intent, that can actually predict behavior before it is even close to happen, that can identify patterns across billions of people's conversations. That's not a conspiracy theory. That is just connecting dots that are already in the public record. So there's a choice. Here's the thing. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to tell you that the options exist. You can keep feeding this machine, the beast, as they say. Keep giving OpenAI your thoughts. Keep paying Google with your attention. Keep hoping those corporations will suddenly do good and develop a conscience. Or you can do what makes sense. You can demand something different, which is your amendment. It's your human right. Support the alternatives, free speech. Use tools that were built with your interests first. We're not the only people building this. There are competitors. There's a movement. It's small, it's growing, of engineers, of entrepreneurs, of creators who are building tech that serves users instead of exploiting them. Because this can only go on for so long before somebody has to say something. And I might be ignorant and arrogant and egotistical enough to think it's me that should do something. And worst case, if I'm wrong, I at least made an impact. Altura is my contribution to that movement. Nova is what I believe AI should have always been. But it's not just about me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made the tool. I would have just kept it private to myself. It's about whether we're going to accept as a community, as a people, that AI's future is being built for us, or we can build one ourselves. Time isn't expired yet. It's scary. It's scary close to being that way, but not if we start acting. So here's my ask. And it's not really that complicated. Wake the fuck up. Start paying attention. Stop watching the news. Stop feeding the system. Read the terms of service. I know nobody does, but start. I'd scare the person when there's a 5-paragraph terms on an iPad when I'm signing up to, get a warranty on something, and I actually read it. And the guy's like, no, you don't have to read that, just sign. He doesn't know how to act because nobody fucking reads it. Read what you're giving your data away to, because one day everything has a cost. You just don't know who or what you're paying. Ask yourself, would I be comfortable if my conversations weren't private, if they were published on a website? If the answer is no, and you still want to get help, then maybe reconsider who you're having those conversations with, just like a friend. Would you tell a friend that you knew that they were going to tell somebody else all your secrets? No. This is even scarier because you don't know who hears. You just know that you're being listened to. So if you have ChatGPT Plus or Grok, Premium, I'm not even saying cancel it today, but I am saying go to settings, turn off, improve the model for everyone, opt out of training at minimum. Stop being unpaid labor for a company worth more than most countries' GDPs. Think critically. When an AI refuses to help you with something, that is the first step we can't ignore. Ask why. When a platform changes its terms of service silently, read what changed. Not when they're publicly announcing big updates, but when they sneak them by. When a company takes billions from Amazon or Microsoft, who don't need the money anymore, or whoever, ask what they gave up in return. We've been trained to accept terms of service without reading them, to just trust privacy policies out there that say we care about your privacy while doing the opposite, to believe that free services are just generous instead of strategic. Stop accepting, start questioning. And if you want to be part of something and building something that's different and actually can save you, that is what Altura is. The currency running it, for fucking Christ's sakes, it is literally decentralized. Solana, right? It technically is owned by a company, but it is just like any other cryptocurrency. It is, built and managed, and the value is upkept by the people holding it. And especially our currency. Its value is built by the people using the platform. You guys have control. We can't issue more of it, unlike the government. We can actually build value in a fixed system by bringing more people in. And if you guys invest in the currency today on our website, or if you put $5 into it, I guarantee you're going to make a substantial impact in the next year or two. You just got to be patient, and you got to believe you're doing the right thing, because it's hard until you have the actual proof. It was hard promising Altura until it was actually real for the last 8 months. But here we are. And if you guys see that I've done this, if you've stayed around long enough to see this, then I hope you can also see the fact that this currency will retire you if you play it right. Nova is live. The voice conversations are live. The integrations are live. You can sign up today and start using an AI that was built with your interests first on desktop. And in 2 weeks, you'll also have that on your phone too. We're catching up quick. No data harvesting, no censorship. No corporate overlords dictating what you can ask or what you can think. So let's end this. They built an AI to own you, profile you, and to control you. I'm building an AI to free you, to extend your capabilities, and to work for you without exploiting you. That's the difference. I know why I'm doing that. And I refuse, and I've built a system to allow me to refuse money and interests from people that have any intent in driving us away from the mission of making our world better, giving human beings tools that extend their capabilities without sacrificing privacy and allowing us to make an impact. I am going to lead it. And so the only question really I have left is, will you join me? And will you do something about it? I'm Caleb Schulke. This is the Ascended Podcast. I appreciate you guys being here today. We're only going to get stronger. If you buy the currency, if you support the website, even if you just sign up and give us another user, that helps all of this grow further. I'd love the feedback. I'd love for you guys to start benefiting early. You can make a lot of money. You can earn a lot of tokens. You can build a business in the stages where we're still young, and you have access to this before anybody else. You don't have to pay to join. Just email and password, and you can get started. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And more importantly, if you did, thank you for believing. The proof is there, the ideas are there, and the movement is here.